Welcome to Doctor to the Garbage Pail Kids, the single best way to learn medicine after an accredited medical school has turned you down. I'm Matthew Tortora. I'm a board-certified pathologist in New Jersey, and in this series, I'm going to diagnose the aches, pains, and other ailments of the characters from that all-at-once beloved and reviled iconic 1980s trading card series, The Garbage Pail Kids. But before I begin, a quick disclaimer that the content on my site is for educational purposes only and does not substitute professional medical consultation from your actual doctor. If you'd like some general background on what the Garbage Pail Kids are, feel free to check out my teaser installment listed in the link below. Otherwise, sit back and enjoy the course. Today, we're going to talk about a frightened young man named Moe, with nice green eyes that match his green shirt. Perhaps you're wondering why Moe is so frightened. Oh, no particular reason, other than the megalithic mosquito latched onto the tender flesh of his bald head. So Moe's got a big problem. Just how big? Let's take some measurements. The insect looks to be about 1¼ times the size of Moe's bald head. From the website Carol's Doll Clothes, we learned that the average head circumference of a bald preemie Cabbage Patch doll is 13 inches. And from that, we calculate diameter with the following equation. Diameter equals circumference divided by pi. So diameter equals 13 divided by pi, which works out to be roughly 6 inches. Lastly, 1¼ times 6 inches comes to 7.5 inches. That's a big mosquito. For comparison, the world's largest known actual mosquito is the Australian elephant mosquito, Toxorhynchides speciosus, which measures 1.5 inches. But they don't bite. Clearly, the one on Moe's head does bite. How much blood will it take from Moe? The average normal-sized mosquito measures up to 0.4 inches and extracts up to 10 microliters per bite. This mosquito, being around 18 times larger, would likely extract up to 0.2 of a milliliter, so still a drop in the metaphoric bucket. So Moe has nothing to worry about, right? Wrong. Mosquitoes are the most dangerous animal to humans ever to live. More dangerous than sharks, crocodiles, bees, fleas from rats, and even rainbow unicorns. Mosquitoes kill over 1 million humans per year. In fact, nearly half of all humans who have ever lived may have been killed by mosquitoes. Of the 3,500 species in the world, the 3 most dangerous mosquitoes, at least to humans, are Anopheles, Aedes, and Culex. But it's not the mosquitoes themselves, it's what they carry. Malaria, a scourge of humanity since the dawn of humans. Its origins likely go back millions of years. If there ever was a disease conjured up from the mind of a horror story writer, this is it. It's a creature that lives in your red blood cells, causing them to rupture inside of your own bloodstream. It leads to horrific cyclical fevers, and in some, organ failure and death. It's killed pregnant women, men, and children by the millions and the billions. Malaria, one of the oldest known infectious diseases. This life-threatening disease is caused by a parasite called Plasmodium, of which there are 5 different species that are harmful to humans. Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium malariae, Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium ovale, and Plasmodium knowlesi. This mosquito, and thus the Plasmodium parasite it carries, are endemic in the tropics. Let's see how Plasmodium replicates by looking at its life cycle. This includes a phase where it lives inside the mosquito, then inside of the human liver, and then inside the red cells. Here is what Plasmodium looks like under the microscope on a peripheral blood smear. In fact, identifying malaria on a blood smear is one of the classic ways to diagnose Plasmodium infection. It can even be used to differentiate between different Plasmodium species. If the mosquito latched onto Moe's head is carrying Plasmodium, Moe will likely join the 250 million people infected by malaria this year. Once bitten, Moe won't get sick for about 2 weeks. Then he'll develop symptoms, including cyclical fevers, chills, and headache. Moe probably won't even think to seek help at this point, since his symptoms are nonspecific and it had been 2 weeks since he was bitten. But within only 24 hours, Moe might get much worse. Paralyzing fatigue, convulsions, breathing difficulty, hemolytic anemia, that means the blood cells will rupture inside of his vessels. And like over 500,000 other people infected by malaria every year, most of them children and pregnant women, he could die. If this is the case, he's going to need help. Malaria infections must be treated. Oh, and there'll be no need to seal Moe up in personal protective equipment. You can't contract malaria from helping Moe. It's only transmitted to humans through a mosquito. Multiple medicines are used to treat malaria. Doctors will decide on the right treatment based on the type of malaria, whether a malaria parasite is resistant to a medicine, whether the patient is pregnant, the age or weight of the patient. For a long time, the most effective medical treatment for the most serious strains of Plasmodium infections was chloroquine. How it works, known as its mechanism of action, is fascinating. While the Plasmodium is living in the red cell, it feeds off of molecules inside called hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is made up of a protein portion and an iron-containing portion called heme. That's what gives the blood its red color. The Plasmodium uses the protein portion, but can't use the heme portion, which is actually highly toxic to it. So it repackages it into something called hemozoin, and then safely walls it off inside its digestive or food vacuole. When chloroquine gets inside the red cell, it prevents the Plasmodium from safely repackaging the toxic heme molecules. Then the chloroquine recombines with the heme, producing an even more toxic compound, which then causes the Plasmodium to digest itself, called autodigestion. Unfortunately, over time, Plasmodium have developed resistance to chloroquine. As a result, the new first-line treatment is based on a compound called Artemisinine, which has been known since ancient times as a Chinese herbal therapy. Scientists think the method of action involves breakage of the peroxide ring. That's the one at the bottom with the double line connecting the oxygen, by heme molecules in the red cell. This breakage leads to what's called free radicals, which attack the Plasmodium. Over the past several decades, a huge amount of money has gone into efforts to eradicate malaria. Since 2007, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, for instance, has contributed about $2 billion to fight malaria. Much of that aimed not just at treating it, but preventing it. To this effect, nets, screens, outdoor larvicidal sprays, and indoor insecticide spraying have played a large part in reducing its transmission. Another highly cost-effective strategy is through chemoprevention. This involves prophylactic administration of antimalarial drugs, most commonly sulfadoxine and pyrimethamine, brand name Artesunate, sometimes in combination with other drugs, specifically to infants, children, and pregnant women in endemic regions during peak malarial seasons. The mechanism of both components involves preventing the synthesis of folate, a critical vitamin for Plasmodium. It's also known as vitamin B9. There's also a vaccine. The vaccine has been shown to significantly reduce malaria and deadly severe malaria among young children. So what effect have all these efforts had on reducing malaria? By looking at this map of the globe, we can see the results. The regions where malaria was endemic once covered nearly the entire Earth, as late as 1900. But this now covers a much smaller footprint. With any luck, this endemic footprint can be entirely wiped out within another generation. Although Anopheles and malaria are the most infamous example of mosquito-borne diseases, it's worthwhile to briefly mention 2 other mosquitoes and the diseases they carry. Aedes aegypti is known to transmit dengue virus, yellow fever virus, and Zika virus. Culex is known to spread West Nile virus. Alas, all of what we learned about malaria is a moot point for Moe, since as you can see, this inordinately large mosquito has punctured a hole with its proboscis through Moe's skull and is likely sucking up brain matter out of the right frontal parietal lobe. If he survives at all, which is a big if, he'll be left severely diminished, a quivering, lobotomized shell of his former self. The silver lining? I bet it'll wipe all that worry right off his face. As we wish Moe Skeeto well on his journey through treatment for possible malaria and probable frontal lobotomy, let's summarize the big points from our session. Mosquitoes are vectors for multiple serious human illnesses. Malaria is a parasite carried by the Anopheles mosquito. Almost 1 million people die every year in endemic regions. Treatment, prevention, and chemoprevention have and will continue to save millions of lives. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Doctor to the Garbage Pail Kids. I hope that I've managed to teach you a little something about medicine while rekindling your nostalgia for the 1980s. If you enjoyed what you saw, feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel.